and welcome to the Everyday Father. I'm excited today because I am joined by one of my favorite people on the internet. Somebody I'm looking forward to so much to meeting you one day. It's going to be an amazing time. We're going to have so much fun. I'll bring the kids. They'll play around. It'll be a blast. But the reason I'm having Tyler Todt on today is because he is somebody who embodies what the Everyday Father is all about. He's focused on his kids while building something incredibly massive and having the energy to put in both places. So what I want to do today is I want to pick his brain, figure out how he does it, kind of unlock a few of the secrets behind the success and see what we can figure out today. So Tyler, thank you so much for taking time to join me today.
Welcome, Charles. It's always an honor, man. You're one of my favorite people in life. We're long past due for a giant bear hug and watching our boys and kids run all around someday too, man. So I look forward to that day too. And, the first tip, I'll just say cheers, man. It's lots of coffee in the morning, man. So,
absolutely.
Like caffeine most days, man.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. So what I really want to start with is you've really prioritized your health. And I know it wasn't always the case, but one of the things that I think sparked this great trajectory that you're on is this focus on health. How do you manage being dedicated to being healthy, staying fit with the responsibilities of being a father?
Yeah, I really failed at this the first couple of years of my marriage. And, I put all of my, what I'd say, best energy into career. And, I killed it at the career. I got promoted several times. And then I looked up 2 years into my marriage, and we had an 18-month-old at the time. And, I was winning at that side of life. And I was losing at my marriage. My wife and I were not in a good spot. We were actually saying the D word. I wasn't a very hands-on father. I had gained 18 pounds in that first 2 years at the office, and I never went to the gym once. So we ain't talking gains. We're talking all in the midsection. And so I really remember sitting down one night and saying, you know what, life and the world and everybody, they're not going to create space for me. So, I have to have a clear vision. I think that's what it starts of what I want my life to look like. And I need to pause right here. Because if I'm putting on 9 pounds a year, do the math. And where am I going to be in 10 years? And if my relationship with my wife and daughter isn't prioritized and isn't growing, where am I going to be in a decade? And, I look at the other hand of that was faith for me, the other aspect I really wanted to win at, and said, if my faith isn't growing and, if I just show up to church 1 hour a week, and that's what I give the Lord, well, that's going to be stagnant too. So I don't believe we can ever just kind of sit still in life. We're either very intentional and we're going towards the things we want to win at. That often means cutting out some of the things we don't, or we're regressing and going backwards. So it was a real one decision, man, about 6 years ago on my knees in some tears where I promised God and I said, I'm going to do this for my family, not in spite of them. I'm not going to use them as an excuse anymore. I'm going to get up in the morning every day and train and put healthy things into my body so I can be a high energy version of myself and be a great father. And I'm going to prioritize my marriage and prioritize some of these other things.
You mentioned giving things up. And that was one of the parts of this, is that it's not always just about what you add, but what you subtract. And talk to me a little bit about some of the things that you chose to step away from.
Yeah. So, and I say sometimes these things can be good things, just not in that season of life. And so one of the things, man, I love golf. If I'm really honest, dude, there was a season of my life when I was in my young 20s and a professional poker player. I played 36 holes a lot of days, And then, when I had a family and I'm working 45 hours a week and then I'm trying to build on the side and I'm trying to be in good shape and grow all these other things, there came a point a few months down the road in my self-improvement journey where I sold my clubs. And I just said, these doesn't align with my main goals right now. I want to be have a world-class marriage, have a world-class faith. I'm 40, going to be 41 now. And I want guys to look at me and say, man, that dude for 41's in really good shape, And it didn't align with my priorities to work all week and then go out with my buddies for 4 hours and have beers on the golf course. It just didn't align at this point in my life. Now, I'm not saying once all my kids are raised in another, couple decades, I might go back to that. I don't know. But for right now, that's a big thing I gave up. Another one, we're 53 months now out. We have no TV. And again, I'm not saying this works for everybody else, but for me, I just looked and said, I'm giving 20 to 25 hours a week to sports. I could tell you every St. Louis Cardinals roster, draft picks, what we're doing, NFL, I'd schedule my week around games. And I said, I can't do that. I can't give 25 hours a week to this and 1 hour to God. So I swapped a lot of that around with extra sermons, with extra reading, studying, things like that. So, I give up TV. I gave up watching the news, which is one of the biggest net positives I think anybody can do. Some other things, man, is a hard thing to say as a guy, but pornography. If I wanted my marriage to thrive, and I couldn't name porn stars' names, and it wasn't like that, but it was like, well, if it had been a week, it was just kind of normal, and I thought all guys do it. This is what we go to. And I remember sitting my wife down and saying, I'm never going to look at this stuff again. You're the only woman. I'm committed to this. So leaving a lot of those things behind, man. And then, probably the hardest one, Charles, was some friends. When I was going to the bar with them and watching sports 3 nights a week, it was fun Tyler. It was that guy. But when I told them, man, these are the things I'm prioritizing. Hey, if you want to hang out, meet me at the gym at 5 a.m. Meet me for a walk or meet me at the park. We can play with our kids. And I did get a couple of, oh, you think you're too good now. You think you're this. And it's like, no, man, not at all. I want my priorities to align with this. If you're still over here in that season of life, that's cool. But I have a clear vision and I'm going this direction. So that was probably the hardest thing to lose. I call them drinking buddies now, not friends. But
no, I can appreciate that. I'm a big believer that everything we want in this life has a cost to it. How do you go about weighing the cost for the thing that you're going after and choosing between, is this worth the expense to do this thing?
Man, that's a great question, and I love the way you said that. That's why I love our conversations, man. I think first off, that's very biblical too. I mean, Jesus says there's a cost to follow me, right? And I look at what's the cost of a great marriage. Well, number one, I can't cheat on my wife, so okay, now I'm exclusive to her, right? But there's more freedom in that, and I think that's what people fail to realize when that is. And so what I've noticed in my last 6 years of this big self-improvement journey for myself is what I thought at the beginning was like, oh man, it's a cost to get up at 5 a.m. every day and work out. Dude, the freedom that has given me on the other side, the extra energy, how I look, the confidence, all these things, man, being a better dad because I have more energy, it's actually what I thought might have been a cost while I'm losing an hour of sleep. Dude, has been such a net negative on the other side. And you look at, the cost of not watching a lot of TV or not watching any TV. Oh, man, I'm going to miss out on what Biden said or Trump's doing or whatever these things are. And the freedom that has provided to now, I've shifted a lot of that time into sermons or reading or getting to connect with people like you and learn and grow. That's provided a lot of freedom. So I think sometimes, man, we have to shift our mindset around and say, yeah, like maybe I'm missing out on some quote unquote fun by not going out and drinking with my buddies. But dude, when I weigh the cost of that versus having a locked in marriage and being a present dad and that, like, it's not even close. And so I always urge people, for me, it was step one was to get out a notebook and write down the things I wanted to be great at. And I wrote down, I want to be a great dad, not just a dad who shows up when it's convenient, but a great dad. A great husband, a great Christ follower, a great body. I want to have a lot of these are the things I'm going to prioritize. Well, there is going to be a cost. And so then, I asked myself too, at one point I got down to like 6% body fat. I went nuts, like didn't eat sugar, didn't eat anything for a while. And then I did like a little self audit and talked to my wife and said, you know what, I'll hover around 10, 12, somewhere in there. I'm going to have family pizza nights again. So that at this point in my life, that isn't worth the cost, but it's being mindful and living life on purpose. I think too many times we just get up and, where the day takes us. If I'm stuck in traffic, I'll be mad. If my boss yells at me, I'll be mad. And it's like, no, you're in control. You just, again, have to create that space for yourself. Be very intentional the direction you want to drive your life. And then once you have that clear vision, it's just a matter of choices daily in your daily habits.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think that's a important thing to dive into for yourself, is to define what things are valuable to you. Because like you said, family pizza night's now a good thing. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. I like an occasional beer. Like that's something that every couple weeks I like to grab a 6-pack and I'll drink it over the next 6 weeks. It's like one a week type of thing, but it's something I enjoy doing. And determining what those things are and how we do those things, I think, is an important audit that we should do on a regular basis. I guess my follow-up question to what you were just saying is, when we choose to go in on things, how do you stick with something when the results don't quite match with what your perception was going to be going into it?
That's a good question, and I'll pause here for a second and get to that. But I think it's such an important part you brought up. You enjoy having beers and there's more than one pack, And I think sometimes people say, oh, well, do I need to give up TV? No. I'm just kind of like, if I'm very honest, I was an alcoholic and an addict, for a while. And I'm not the kind of guy that can have one beer. Truthfully, I tried that for many years. I'd tell my wife, I'm going to go meet my buddies for one beer. I'm bringing an Uber home at 3 a.m. That's not who I am. So I had to make that decision, right? And so I think that's important to acknowledge there, that there's not one path. What I say might not work for you. You can take bits and pieces of what people say, but be intentional and mindful what works best for you. And so I think that's huge. So the question then was, when you're kind of making these sacrifices and going, and you don't see results right away, how do you keep going?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think, man, anything that's worthwhile. This has been great talking to guys like Zuby, Zach Hommel, some of these guys that have taken a decade to build a successful business. I got fat over 2 years. It wasn't going to be like I went to the gym 3 days and then all of a sudden I had a six pack, right? Like, I think there's too much of this Instagram influencer stuff going on right now. 30 days to ripped health, 30 days to $1 million business. Like, dude, if it was that easy, everyone would be rich, successful, have all their stuff, right? So you got to go into these things knowing, again, what you said, there's a cost and it's going to be a while. And everybody wants this cheat code or this hack. The hack is consistency. And it's showing up on days you don't feel like it. And I always joke with people, man, I'm a pretty high motor guy now. 150 days out of the year, I don't feel like getting out of bed. I am successful, and I have a pretty good physique and things like this at 41 almost, because I have 150 bad workouts a year. I just get the thing done, man. I have a vision in my head of where I want to go, and I just acknowledge that, dude, talked to you before we got on, I'm writing a book now that's 60,000 words. Many of these days over the last few months, I have not felt like sitting down and writing this book. I haven't felt like it. I just continue to plug away and continue to chip away. But as long as you have that vision in your head of where you want to go and why you're doing it, I think you can bear almost any how or I don't feel like it. So again, it all goes back to that clear vision of who you want to be, why you want to be that person. And then you just reverse engineer your life. I always think about myself, it might sound morbid, but at 95, what are the things that are important to me? As I'm laying around my deathbed, Price is Right's on or whatever it is, right? And my family's around me, am I going to care that I watched the show or that I did this or that? And no. It's probably these 4 or 5 things that I want to be great at that are going to be, that's the impact that I hope I left.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think that's a great way to look at it. And I too look forward to, like, into the future. Where am I at? How did I get here? What things did I do to put me in this situation? And am I satisfied with that? Are the things that I chose to do, are they okay? Or should I make some changes to get me into a new place that I want to be? And I think that that's a valuable thing to evaluate and to sit with. And, we say it's morbid, but, we all have an end. So I think owning that and appreciating that isn't a bad thing. So we'll dive deeper into some more of this right after this short commercial break.
1 week after launching our exclusive sneak peek, NGBN TV was live for 3 days of continuous coverage from Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas.
NGBN TV is live from Las Vegas for Super Bowl 58.
The one-of-a-kind streaming TV network for men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s was the conversation for the big game about men's mental health. In the world of athletes, celebrities, and influencers, we're on notice. But we're just getting started with new partnerships announced like the Team Nike 3on3 Championship and new platforms available to download the NGBN TV app. So, what are you waiting for? Download the app today from your favorite streaming device or check us out at ngbn.tv. This is NGBN TV.
Hello and welcome back to The Everyday Father. I'm here with Tyler Todt, and we're going to continue today's conversation, and we're going to shift a little bit. We're going to dive deeper into some of the fitness habits that you've created and generated over the last few years, because one of the pieces of what I believe makes you a complete father is being a healthy father. Because if you're healthy, you have more energy, you can be more present, and you can do more things with, let's be honest, crazy boys are crazy boys, right? So talk to me about some of the things that you've adopted to help you generate more energy in your life, because you've talked several times about having more energy and feeling better and being this high impact individual. But what are some of the things you do on a regular basis to get you there?
Yeah, I think, one of the first things I did actually was wrote out just a list of, I call it a food journal, elimination diet, whatever you want to say. But for 2 weeks, I didn't change anything in my diet when I had gained the 18 pounds at the office. And I just wrote down very simply, here's what I ate at what time. And then about 10 or 15 minutes later, I'd write scale of 1 to 100. How much energy do I feel like I have after I ate that thing? And I just kept, and I'm a pattern recognition kind of guy from some of my former jobs. I just started noticing, holy cow, man, I'm eating breakfast cereal every morning. And dude, I feel like crap. And it's 8:10, and I feel like I want to lay down 10 minutes after I eat it. My energy level is so low. And so then that led me to, okay, I need to give that up. Right. And then, certain foods I'm eating, I'm just realizing I always want to go lay on the couch after I eat these things. And so a hack that not a lot of fitness people talk about, in my opinion, but like I think it holds true 90% of the time. I bet me and you, we probably eat the same 12, 15 foods a lot over and over and over again. I have several staples in my diet that I don't really deter from. And my strategy is just for breakfast, I got 3 options. On a heavier lifting day, I'll eat eggs, sometimes bacon in there. But that's pretty much it. I fast a lot of mornings and just drink black coffee and water, or Greek yogurt. Those are really the only. I don't eat waffles. I don't eat French. Those are just really the only 3 things I eat for lunch. I was going out to eat every day, and then we just started meal prepping. So now every single Sunday, our family, we make a bunch of just grilled organic chicken thighs. That's what I eat every day for lunch. And so if you look at kind of my systems, what I say is, okay, if I'm eating 21 times during the week, I've got 14 out of 21 now are going to be perfect and healthy. That gives me a lot of margin for family pizza night. That gives me a lot of margin for me and my wife go on a date. And if I want to order the French fries, I get the French fries, right? But I kind of have that system built in that breakfast and lunch is just automatic. I don't think about it. It's going to be one of those options, and that keeps me high energy. And then the other thing I'll say is I really programmed myself early on and journaled a lot about this, where do I want my kids to be really healthy? I think every single parent would say, yeah, more confidence, live longer, less chance of disease. We could name 100 reasons why we want them to be healthier. They're going to look at me and what I'm doing a lot more than what I'm telling them to do. If I'm laying on the couch saying, don't eat the donuts, but I'm eating donuts, what are they, well, dad does it, I'm going to do it, right? And so I really take that as a responsibility for myself that my kids need to see me living it. And I think that makes a bigger impact on them. So that's definitely my why behind it too.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people overcomplicate it, like you said. The consistency and simplicity is what makes it repeatable. Mm-hmm. And I'm in the same boat. I have eggs, toast, bacon every morning. And if I don't have that, I'm either fasting with black coffee, and occasionally I'll do a protein shake with some of the Kodiak oats that are like protein infused oats. So it has like 200 calories with some protein in it. But it's 3 things, like you said. It's not complicated. I'm not mixing it up a whole lot. And what that allows me to do is I like donuts, especially here in Ohio. There's some Amish made donuts that are like next level. So once a month I go over and I buy a bunch of donuts and get some cinnamon rolls, and I come home and we have a weekend of, vegging out on crap. But it's a reward for the consistency. It's not something that I'm just every day sitting down, opening a bag of potato chips and then looking in the bottom going, where'd they go? So I love the idea that you said, and I agree wholeheartedly, that our kids are going to follow and emulate what we do. How do you include your kids in your exercises, in your programming, and in your activities?
I love this, man. So my boys they're 3.5, and I have an 8.5-year-old daughter. Big staple of our life, man, is like I get like poked fun at now because I'm so adamant about it on social media. But family walks, dude, there is nothing better than just getting your kids out and saying, let's take family walks. And some ideas to make it fun. Dude, we'll make us a list of like scavenger hunt things. So we'll say, and we'll make them funny, but can we find dog poop, right? Let's search for dog. Can we spot an airplane? Can we spot a fire, police vehicle, fire truck? So we're all like walking a couple miles and we're looking for things. And I'll do like red light, green light. We'll do races, where green light, we all sprint. Red light, everybody's got to stop, right? We'll do relay races. We'll skip. We'll do just making fitness like fun. Like I like for my kids to see us. Like, I'll tell them sometimes, we'll get back and I'll show them my watch. I'll be like, we just did 3 miles. Like just as a family, just looking at the sunset and doing this walk. guys, that was a 3-mile walk. And I'll tell them, like, not a lot of 3-year-olds could do that. You guys are beasts. You guys are, I'm always trying to pump them up and just make it fun. With my daughter, man, she's really into gymnastics now, and she's going every week and really getting good. So I've tried to just ask her to teach me to get better at stretching. Bro, she is so flexible and crazy. So we stretch together at night sometimes. And then there's a thing I always tell her, man, you're making daddy better. Thank you so much. That's awesome. And then I just invite her all the time. Hey, dad's going out to just do some push-ups, pull-ups, little thing around the gym. You want to come pick a couple songs with me and we can do them together? And then sometimes she says, nah, I'm over here doing this. Hey, no problem. You want to come out? I'll be out here. And so I just invite a lot. And I look back to my childhood. My dad was big into running. I'm not a big runner, to be honest, but he ran marathons and all this. And I just remember my dad always inviting, hey, you guys want to ride the bikes? I'm going for a run. Hey, I'm running sprints up this hill. You guys want to come do it with me? But he just always invited. And I think that just kind of made me always see in my dad is like, he's just into fitness. This is what we do. It was like a normal thing for our family. And so I want my kids to see that. It's just normal. We don't plop down on the couch and look at devices 3 hours a night. We get up and move. We get out and do things, right? So even little things, man, I think like family dance party, we're really big into this. Every member pick one song and we all get up and dance around and move to that. I think there's just so many little things you can do to make fitness and movement really fun.
No, I absolutely love that. And I'm a big believer in inviting your kids to join you. My son comes out and he'll do push-ups with me. And awesome. He said the other day, this was awesome. He goes, you've got real big muscles, Daddy. One day I'm going to be able to pick you up and put you down. And I'm like, let's go. I hope so. And I'm like, you mean put me down soft, right? He goes, oh yeah, put you down soft. I'm going to pick you up, put you down soft. I was like, okay, just making sure you're not going to slam me on my back and like destroy me or anything like that. So, but yeah, no, I think that the inclusion is important and the asking them to consistently come with you because, I think too often we're like, well, we're busy. I just want to get this in. And we forget that you're trying to teach them while you do this. It's not just for you anymore. It's for your little ones as well. So one of the things I want to kind of work towards here a little bit is one of the things that you do that I love is the big challenges, the yearly expeditions, as you will, or the excursions that you go into that are just, I would say, mind-boggling at times for like the average person who's looking at this. But talk to me about one, where did this challenge piece of your fitness journey come from? Let's start there.
Zach Hommel, man, big influence on my life. I hired him as a coach about 5-6 years ago when I was really getting into changing my life as just a guy who's already kind of living it and doing it. And Zach always says he puts one big event on the calendar every year that pushes him to grow past what he thinks he can do. This last year, man, and this blows my mind, he sat in total darkness for 4 days in a cave. He paid some guy, they put food in under 3 times a day, but literal darkness. I mean, this is how they torture people, right? And right. He said, working through all these demons and had to really look inside to grow through that. But that's just a guy that's been my role model for a while. And so I just decided I'm going to put this as part of once a year. I'm going to set a big challenge at the beginning of the year to say, can I conquer this thing? And so I've done a couple of them, man. This year was 5 Murphs in a row before noon. So I woke up at 1 a.m. And powered through 5 Murphs in a row and truthfully felt like I could have done 6 or 7. I trained for that for 3 or 4 months. But I like to have something on the calendar that kind of, if you're just doing the same stuff over and over again, it can get a little monotonous. The year before, I did 100,000 steps in a day while being a dad and locked in on all my dad duties. So I vlogged the whole thing. I made sure to, not miss any of that stuff and get that done. And then the cool thing is, you had mentioned, this kind of ties back into what we were talking about. Like, my daughter saw that, right? She was 6.5 when I did it. She came to me and said, do you think I can do 20,000? And I said, there's one way to find out. And so she hit 20, and then she hit 25 a month later. And then about a year ago, she hit 40,000 steps in a day. And now she's actually talking to me. She's looked up the world record. Guinness Book of World Records for 8-year-olds is 106,000 steps in a day. And so we're mapping out what that looks like for her to, I'm like, you got to wake up at 12:01 a.m. and start walking, right? You're going to need 16, 17 hours to do that. So we're talking about that, and maybe she'll do that, maybe she won't. But I think that's the coolest thing is, again, my kids are seeing me kind of push myself, and then they're thinking, well, that's normal. That's what we do, right? And I think that's the gift of being a parent that we have, is I always say, like, the kids are going to see how me and their mom interact. if we don't like each other, they're going to kind of think that's what marriage is. It's just a man and a wife who kind of have joint finances and they raise kids. But dude, if they see me and my wife in the kitchen dancing, loving on each other, going on date nights, that, all over, they're going to think that's what marriage is. That's normal. It's the same way with health. Dude, if they come home from school and every day we're like, let's go to the park, let's go play. That's what's normal to my kids. Like we had a family come visit us a year ago and they're like, you guys don't have TV. What do you do? And I could just see it in their eyes. There's like 5 or 6 kids and their normal was just watching TV all day. And I'm like, well, we swim, we hike, we go, we do all these other things. That's just normal for us. And so I think we really got to internalize that as parents. We're setting the standard for what our kids think is normal. And so, man, we got to create movement, create activity. You're seeing childhood obesity, all these things that are just crazy in our society now. And I think that falls on us as parents to lead the way.
No, I totally agree. And I think that the other thing too is our kids adapt quickly to what is normal. If you are an active family, they understand that this is normal. If you throw a tablet in front of them on a regular basis, they're going to assume this is normal. If you balance it, they're going to assume, again, this is how I live my life. And I have certain times where I can do these things. I have certain times where this is okay. And then I have to live my life this way. So it really comes down to creating the standard for your life with your kids. And I think that that's such a huge piece of all this. As we begin to wind down, Tyler, I want to ask you one more thing about if somebody's listening to this and they're a father and they're trying to make changes and they want to start to include health, family time, faith, fitness, all these big F words, right? All the F words, the good F words, none of the bad ones. Well, they want to include these things. Where did you start, and how would you direct them to focus their energy to where they should start?
Yeah, I mean, for me, again, it was just one night getting out a notebook and then seeking out some mentors and finding some people in your space that are just doing some things that you admire and you want to do, and you can take pieces off of what they're doing into your own life. And also just acknowledging no matter how far you've gone in that other direction, I believe the most beautiful thing about life and being a human being is today can be your day where you just pump the brakes. So you know what, I'm going to start going back this other way. And you can own that. Like, I think if you're a dad out there, I had to own it to my wife. That next day where I made this big decision and said, the things I've been focusing on have not been best for our family, for me, I said, I own that. That's me. And so I'm going to make some changes today. And I invited my wife, hey, could we make it a normal thing for our family to just take walks instead of to, do whatever we're doing at night, watch TV or whatever that was, right? And so you don't have to go from 0 to 100 one day. And I think that's a really, guys just think like, well, I'm either all in or I'm all out. Start with one better habit, just one. Wake up 10 minutes earlier and just do 25 push-ups today. You can't do 20, do 10 air squats. Whatever you can do, hit a win. Chug a water afterwards. Boom, we got 2 wins. Instead of zoning out on your phone in the morning, give your wife and kids a massive hug and tell them we're taking a walk tonight. 3 wins. Instead of going out to lunch and eating the pizza buffet, man, can you make a little healthier choice? 4 wins. When you get home, instead of zoning out the TV, can you invite your family on it just a couple times around the block maybe? Can you just start to make little changes that'll start to compound over time? So you don't have to solve the whole puzzle today. You just have to make one committed decision that you want to start to go back that other direction.
Yeah, no, I think that's the big thing is one little win, stacking them together, and all of a sudden now it's like, man, oh, look at all this progress I'm making. So where can my listeners today find you, connect with you, follow in your journey? Before we let you go here, I want to make sure they get a hold of you.
Yeah, thanks again, man. Charles, it's always an honor to chat, man. I love you, brother. I love what you're doing and putting out into the world too, just making men better. I think nothing's going to save our society more than this, right? Is locked in guys leading homes, being the best versions of themselves. So I appreciate everything you put out, man. You can find me at Ty Romper on Twitter. I have a couple 100,000 teammates over there, man. I'm on there pretty much every day. Tyler Todt at Gmail if you want to connect and reach out. I'm on all other social stuff too. Just Tyler Todt or at Ty Romper on pretty much everything. But Twitter's the main one that I'm on pretty much every day.
Yeah, you're gonna go check him out, give him a follow, hang out with him, shoot him a DM. He's good at getting back to people. He wants to help you win. And the whole idea behind this show is to keep showing up, keep getting better, be the best for those who need you the most. So until next week, guys, this was the Everyday Father. We'll see you next time.